Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Giving all praise and thanks to the Most High Yah. Thanking Him for life, health, and strength. Thanking Him for all you that are here. Please be seated. I give honor and glory to the name of our Most High Yah.
Amen.
Yehovah, God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Thank the Most High God for this opportunity to be here, opportunity to be before God's people on this holy day. I'd like to thank the Most High Yah for the brothers that He put in our midst, the leaders, the teachers, the dignitaries. Thank the Most High Yah for you all. I'd like to thank the Most High Yah for the excellent portion that was done leading up to Re'eh, because there's a lot of interesting points that could come out of these portions, a lot of things that we could take from it and apply it to our very lives. I'm just thankful to the Most High Yah for life.
Amen.
I'm thankful for strength. Just praying that He continue to be with those who are sick, those who call upon His name for healing. Pray that the Most High God can be with them and guide them, bless them. Even those that may have lost loved ones, that He gives them comfort, that He gives them peace. So I had the opportunity of meeting and knowing Adon YAH. For me, he was a very pleasant guy, very easy to talk to, and always have a good word. And the last time he was here, the topic of our discussion was on health. You know, and it is unfortunate that he did pass. Again, I pray that the Most High God would continue to be with his family, asking that He gives them the comfort and the peace. You know, just something about death news I don't like. You know, it kind of throw off my entire day.
Yeah.
And this time it kind of threw off the entire week. You know, it was so noticeable. My Isha was like, what's going on with you? It's kind of hard to explain because it makes you really consider, you know, how short life is. It makes you want to appreciate the things that the Most High gives to you. You know, and I'm here, I have to do this portion. It's talking about blessings and curses. Curses, it makes you reflect. It makes you honestly think about how you move in this world and the things that you want to get out of it. The things that you want for yourself, the things you want for your spouse, things that you want for your children, the things that you want for your nation. You know, these are all the things that came to mind. You know, it says, better house of mourning. It becomes more, the understanding comes more plain as I get older. Yeah. Because when people do pass, again, it makes you reflect. It makes you reflect on your ways. Yeah. You know, I was going back and forth with a friend of mine upstate, and we're making so much plans on things we got to do, and she's very proactive, so I'm texting her, we're going back and forth. And I text in the morning, I'm like, can't get an answer? I know she's on top of it. If you know those kind of proactive people, as soon as you text them, bing, they're back at you. Like, let's get this thing going. So, and I didn't hear from her like the entire day. I'm like, something's wrong. Maybe she's going through something. We all go through our moments, right? So I said, I'm gonna leave it like that. So I heard from her, I got a call that evening from her number. I'm like, where you been all day? This is not Katrina. I'm like, who's this? I'm like, this is her father. My daughter's not here. She's dead. I said, is this some type of prank or something? He says, no. My daughter is dead. He said, the only reason why I called you is because I seen the conversation you've been going back and forth with my daughter. I thought I would at least give you the courtesy to say that she's no longer here and you got to figure out what you're going to do. So, yeah, so the death news hit me hard this week. So when I say I'm thankful for life, I'm thankful for life. If you woke up this morning, give thanks for life.
Hallelujah.
Give thanks for the life that the Most High God gives you.
That's right.
What's the first thing you think about when you wake up in the morning? Do you run for the blunt? Is it that drink that been calling you the day before? What's that thing that's giving you the urge that's taking you away from honoring and respecting the Almighty? these are the things that I had to reflect upon. Is it running the social media? I'm guilty of it sometimes. I know I got some likes. I know somebody probably commented on my nice outfit. I did really hard trying to get this made. Addiction. So our modern addictions can kind of take the place of idolatry, can it? Things that can take us away from the Creator. It causes him to lose his glory.
Wow.
So you give it to something else. But these things that we get in life, they're good things. Some things I'm beginning to understand that they're more gifts than is called a blessing. Why I say that? Because we look at it as us being God's children. And being a child, you know when your child is doing good, you want to reward them, you give them things that they like. God knows the things that you like. Just like Maury was saying, he want to hit the Powerball. We all want to hit the Powerball. Why? Because our bills going to get taken care of, and that'll be the least of our worries.
Right.
But these things, again, I consider gifts. And this Torah, this portion in particular, is going to teach us that, or where our greatest blessings come from. So this portion is very interesting. It's called Re'eh, which means to observe or to see. And that's the first word in the portion. But think about this word while we're reading and see what the Most High wants to get out of us. So we're going to start off in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 11, starting at the 26th verse. Hallelujah.
We're in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 11, verse 26. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Behold, I set before you this day a blessing and a curse.
A blessing and a curse. I have to stop right there. It says this day in that verse. This day, the blessings and the curses. So we may think that this is totally, or it's just supposed to be applied by our brothers and sisters that's going through the motion at this time, and we could neglect these words this day, or it can apply to us. Is that the question? Absolutely.
Yes, this day.
Forget about what you did yesterday.
That's right.
But today, what are the choices that you're going to make that you can claim the blessings that the Most High God has for you?
Okay.
Because right here, he's saying that this is what I'm going to set before you this day, is that you're going to have the blessings and you're going to have the curse.
Right.
It sounds like a choice. It sounds like freedom of choice.
Okay.
But I kind of sense a little sarcasm there because he wants you to know, listen, I know you want to live. I know you want the nice things that life comes with. But there's certain things you have to do in order to receive these blessings. Let's go ahead.
The blessing, if ye shall hearken unto the commandments of Yahweh your God, which I command you this day. And the curse, if ye shall not hearken unto the commandments of Yahweh your God, but turn aside out of the way which I command you this day, to go after other gods which ye have not known.
Other gods which you have not known. This is kind of what we fall into. So I, for one, am a visual learner. Give me a picture, give me a diagram. I don't do too well with words. I probably got to play one lesson on repeat to get it. So sometimes pictures may help. So I'm just going to use this. Help me out, please. I don't know. It froze. Huh?
He said, aim it over here.
Oh, thanks. Appreciate it. So we go after other gods. These are Asian idols, right? The golden calf, I think was read about in the previous portion. is a reminder to us to stay away from the gods of the other nations. But now we're in a modern day, a modern society, and yes, this book is ancient, but so valid today that we take hold to our modern idols. Sometimes we look for love, safety, happiness, security in the wrong places. For some people, it's food. Maisha used to tell me, especially when we first met, she said, "Boy, what happened to you? Your belly ruling you?" I'm like, "What do you mean by my belly ruling me? What do you mean by that?" You see? And I thought about it. It took me a while to get it, you know, all these Jamaican proverbs, but it took me a while to get it, but it hit. I'm like, she's right.
Your belly ruling you. That's
like,
crazy.
You seriously can't control yourself? God designed you to get to a point where it's called satiety. As fancy as it sounds, you're full. You're satisfied. There's no need to overeat. You know? Yes, it may be good, but I tell you, control. It says they're drugs. For some people, it may not be drugs. Thank God, maybe not in here. Maybe online. Maybe somebody's going through it. Understand that you got to fight that. It's hard to knock any addiction, whether it be food, whether it be drugs, whether it's your gadgets. Listen, let me tell you something about this Instagram. I'm on it. I just got back on it after approximately 5 years. And the reason why I did that is because I noticed that when I'm trying to get something done, anything done, somehow I'm back on Instagram. I could be researching something for class, and I'm on Instagram. I'm having a conversation. The conversation's blocked. I'm scrolling through Instagram. I said, this is becoming a problem. I said, there's no way I'm going to make it through college if I continue to stay scrolling through Instagram.
Right.
So I had to log off, make a whole new password that I forgot, and just leave it alone for a while so I could focus on my task at hand.
Right. Talk about
Sometimes we have to make those extra steps in life so that you can gain closer to what the Most High God wants you to do. Absolutely. Sometimes you have to make sacrifices. It's putting yourself in an uncomfortable place that you can allow the Creator to work with you. How can He work with you if you're preoccupied with something and you can't give Him a fraction of your time or your attention?
That's real.
For some people, it's the love of a spouse. That's what keeps them going. Last time I checked, the Most High God, He said, I want you to love me with all your heart, all your soul, and with all your might. I'm not saying not to love your wives or your daughters, your children, your family. Absolutely. Because He said to love your neighbor. But the description that He gave you to love Him is a love that supersedes all. So continue to love the God of our forefathers in a way that He would deem acceptable. And this is just taking away everything else, putting it aside. And as the Most High God give you certain things, understand that, yes, some may call it a blessing, or some may say, well, yes, in my view, he gives you with the extra things that you need, because you don't have to take a plane and go to Zimbabwe, spend a week, and then come back. You don't have to do that. That's a gift to you, knowing that, listen, this is something that you deserved. So He gifts you with these things. He blesses you with these things. One thing that's evident throughout the scriptures is that the greatest blessings is Yahweh Himself. All throughout the Psalms, it talks about, it says, blessed is the one who trusts in Him. What does that mean? Blessed is the one who takes refuge in Jehovah.
That's right.
These are the blessings that we have to strive for. My favorite one, it says, blessed is the man who you discipline, O Jehovah, and who you teach out of your law. To make correction, to make change, it reflects. Again, the Most High is now able to work with you. He says, behold. It says to see. Look at from this day onward, what can you do to put yourself in that position? Most High God would give correction. So sometimes it might not be the sweetest. Life may be a little hard. Things may be a bit bitter, maybe a bit bitter. But understand that the Most High God is the one who's going to give you direction once you cleave unto Him and do His law.
That's right.
We are, where we at, bro?
Verse 29.
Go ahead.
Verse 29. And it shall come to pass when Jehovah thy God shall bring thee into the land whither thou goest to possess it, that thou shalt set the blessing upon Mount Gerizim and a curse upon Mount Ebal. Are they not beyond the Jordan, behind the way of the going down of the sun, in the land of the Canaanites that dwell in the Arabah, over against Gilgal, beside the terebinths of Moreh? For ye are to pass over the Jordan to go and to possess the land which Jehovah your God giveth you. Ye shall possess it, and dwell therein. Ye shall observe to do all the statutes and the ordinances which I set before you this day.
Yeah, so it's a constant reminder. Because again, we can be a little forgetful.
That's right.
We can be very forgetful. Especially with our addictions that keep on calling us. Remember Pookie from New Jack City? You keep calling me, You're going to get that urge, but you got to know how to fight it. And He's given us the things to make us be a successful people. Most High God is not trying to set us up. He's trying to set you up, but to be a successful and progressive nation. Let's get into 12.
Chapter 12, verse 1. Hallelujah. These are the statutes and the ordinances which ye shall observe to do in the land which Jehovah the God of thy fathers has given thee to possess it, all the days that ye live upon the earth. Ye shall surely destroy all the places wherein the nations that ye are to dispossess serve their gods, upon the high mountains and upon the hills, and under every leafy tree. Ye shall break down their altars and dash in pieces their pillars, and burn their asherim with fire. Ye shall hew down the graven images of their gods. Ye shall destroy their name out of that place.
Destroy their name out of their place. I was here. So God is making it plain because we're about to go into a place that God has given to us. But there's settlers there. There's people who occupy the land in your place. Next slide. And He's making it plain that you should destroy them. Destroy their name, destroy their gods, destroy their places of worship. Because wherever you are, I'm going to be in your midst.
Right.
And I can't dwell if there are other false deities in the same space.
Gotcha.
So let's kind of think about this today. Who's in the land of Israel today? I know some pride flags is in there. But some religious-wise, who's there? You got your Christians. You got your Muslims, the Palestinians. Right? And you have your Jewish people. So every once in a while, this is actually pretty recent, probably 3-4 years back.
Wow.
It says a damaged statue of Christ in the church of Flagellation in the old city of Jerusalem. So they continue to destroy their gods. They continue to go at each other. You at me, I'm at you. The war was never going to stop in the East, correct? It's going to continue to go on for the simple fact that it's the wrong people fighting the wrong war. We're not in the right space. We're not in the right time. So this prophecy has not yet been fulfilled. Right? In that time is one thing. This time it's another. Because best believe they fixed up that statue and put him right back up there. Right? Let's read next verse.
Verse 4. You shall not do so unto Jehovah your God.
You can't do so unto Jehovah your God.
But unto the place which Jehovah your God shall choose out of all
we
your
can't
tribes.
change or manipulate our Creator for the simple fact that He's unseen. You cannot manipulate a God that you can't touch, but you can do that to this God. If you can see your God, chances are you can make changes to him. If he was white, get yourself a black marker, and now he's black. You don't get the opportunity to make our God an object. Usually when you watch television, somebody's always cracking a joke on Christ. Am I lying? It's kind of hard to do it with a God that you don't see. That's the power that our God has. And he understands us. He understands us thoroughly, that we're not able to manipulate him because he's holy and separate above the rest, and greater above the rest. So in our history, we see that the closest they got to even coming close to us is destroying our temple, destroying Jerusalem. But did they really destroy our God? I take that as a symbolic meaning that this was a destruction of our relationship that we once had with our Father. But because you didn't want it, I will let others come in and do the opposite of what you were supposed to do unto them. Let's start from 5.
But unto the place which Jehovah your God shall choose out of all your tribes to put his name there, even unto his habitation shall ye seek. And thither thou shalt come, and thither ye shall bring your burnt offerings and your sacrifices, and your tithes and the offerings of your hands, and your vows and your freewill offerings, and the firstlings of your herd and of your flock. So
this is just making plain our sacrifices, our tithe. These are the things that are only supposed to be conducted in the place where the Most High God has chosen, right? Unfortunately, we're in the land of our captive, yes. So certain things you cannot expect to come along with what we do today. For example, burnt offerings, and again, tithes, because we're in a place that the Most High God hasn't really called his name to be not mentioned, Slika, but to do these actual burnt offerings and sacrifices. So you want to be careful with the things that you do when you try to gain the attention of the Creator or try to get closer to him. I understand that we want that. A lot of us are very desperate for it. But in our motion to get closer to the Creator, it's more so he's looking for our righteousness than really trying to do these sacrifices or make certain promises that we really can't keep in these lands, because the Most High God knows what kind of situation we're in. This is kind of like a timeout situation for us. You know, and while you're going through a timeout, it's time to reflect. You know, you want to show that I want to get closer to you, as opposed to I'm gonna do things that would be displeasing. He said it's a sweet aroma unto him, right? But we're not able to do this today. It's more like a smoke in his nostrils, the total opposite. That's right.
And there shall ye eat before Jehovah your God, and ye shall rejoice in all that ye put your hand unto. Ye and your households wherein Jehovah thy God have blessed thee. Ye shall not do after all that we do here this day. Every man whatsoever is right in his own eyes.
In his own eyes. It starts off by saying, behold, I set before you this day a blessing and a curse. Behold. He wants us to do things through his eyes only. This moment we step back and say, I'm going to do things the way I want it to be done, guess what? You're now leaning onto your own understanding. And leaning onto your own understanding is doing the total opposite of the Most High, what he wants from you. Because for us to do the things that he wants us to do, our agenda, it has to be changed. We got to focus on the commandments, the laws and statutes of the Creator. That's how you look through his eyes. That's how you see things through his eyes. That's how you are rewarded of the blessings of the Almighty.
For you are not as yet to come to the rest and to the inheritance which Jehovah your God giveth thee. But when you go over the Jordan and dwell in the land which Jehovah your God causes you to inherit, and he giveth you rest from all your enemies round about, so that ye dwell in safety, then it shall come to pass, that the place which Yahweh your God shall choose to cause his name to dwell there, thither shall ye bring all that I command you, your burnt offerings and your sacrifices and your tithes and the offerings of your hand, and all your choice vows which ye vow unto Yahweh. And ye shall rejoice before Yahweh your God, ye and your sons and your daughters and your men servants and your maid servants, and the Levite that is within your gates, for as much as he have no portion nor inheritance with you.
It's a joyful thing to serve the Most High God. And absolutely is a blessing to do the things that he requires of you. Moiron introduced me as a Benjamite, but I'm going to say some things that's not so pleasant about a Benjamite that we got to take claim of, because he's us. King Saul was one that seen things strictly through his eyes. This is just a perfect example of how things can play out when you decide to do your own thing as opposed to following the script. He made a burnt offering unto the Most High God. And I'm sure he understood and knew very well that wasn't his place. But he did it anyway. Because he felt like, hey, if I don't sacrifice, maybe my army might disappear. Maybe God wouldn't hear us when we call upon him when it's time to go to the battle. Through my own eyes, I'm going to make sure my people are good by any means. He was supposed to destroy the Amalekites, right? He was given a simple instruction, but he saved the life of Agag. Political stunt. Saved the best of their sheep, the lamb, the oxens. Why? So what are the things that can force you to get away from the Creator besides you pushing your own agenda? A struggle for power, a struggle for monetary gain. These are the things we sacrifice to put the Most High God on the back burner. He even went above all, going to speak to the witch. Like, come on. That's our history. And it's written here for us to reflect on those men. We have to take the negative with the positive that comes from this Torah, because it's a balance. But let's be more on the positive side by taking examples out of the book. All right, let's read.
Take heed to thyself that thou offer not thy burnt offerings in every place that thou seest, but in the place which Jehovah shall choose in one of thy tribes, there thou shalt offer thy burnt offerings, and there thou shalt do all that I command thee. Notwithstanding, thou mayest kill and eat flesh within all thy gates, after all the desire of thy soul, according to the blessing of Yahweh thy God, which he shall give thee. The unclean and the clean may eat thereof, as of the gazelle and as of the hart. Only ye shall not eat the blood.
So it's making it clear the animals that we can't eat out of the clean and unclean. It specifically says here the gazelle and the hart. These are two animals that are out there. In the Middle East, they're quite common. The same way you'll see a deer here today, running wild, look outside, that's how you'll see the hart. So guys, these are the animals you can eat. And again, I wouldn't go into the dietary law too much, because I think Chief Uzel did an awesome job with that. So for reference, just go onto YouTube and look up that portion, and it's explained very well, just talking about the animals, how they're designed with the cloven foot, them chewing the cud, the animals that are actually acceptable for us to eat. And this is all mentioned because the people around us were eating everything. We're coming from Egypt. Best believe we had some of that practices. We still got some of that taste that we like, I be craving for this every now and again. We probably get it today too, who probably wasn't born in this way, right? But you got the duck, the geese, you got the pork that they used to eat. For the Egyptians, the hedgehog was one of those things. It was a delicacy. So God is letting us know, like, this is the things that you can partake of. And it talks about not eating the blood. Just to finish out that verse, it says, thou shalt pour it out upon the earth as water. Mosier, please. Next slide. I missed that. Pour poured upon the earth as water. So, God commanded us not to eat blood, correct? Right. For what we understand, the blood is the life. Right. Anybody just walk into a hospital, what's the first thing they do after they ask you a couple questions? They check some blood. Because we're able to figure out like what's really going on with this person. You can know what is the heart acting up, the kidney acting up, the liver. It's a blueprint of what's really going on with you health-wise. Even if you're able to communicate with the provider, anybody there, hey, it's a plus. We can definitely kind of figure out what's really going on with this person. So one thing I want to make clear about blood is that 90% of blood is made out of water. So when we get our food, we get our meats, we make certain preparations to get the blood out of it. Right. For a while, even growing up, we used to add salt to our water so that we can take the blood out of it, correct? So this right here is probably 7th grade science, and there's 2 words there. We're going to start off with diffusion so you can kind of get a better understanding of how osmosis works. So diffusion is the movement of an air molecule from a high concentration going to a lower concentration. So if I got a can of Febreze and I spray Meku, in about 10 seconds, each eye is gonna smell it. It's very condensed here, but because there's no Febreze molecules in the air on that side, it's gonna make its way on that side of the room, so Isha can now smell it. So when we put our meat in a container, it pretty much follows the same principle. Osmosis is the movement of water molecules from a high concentration to a low concentration, but it passes through a semi-permeable membrane. So let's say, or what is the semi-permeable membrane is the meat that we use, whether it's lamb, your chicken, whatever you buy, you put it to soak, correct? So by you adding salt to it, you're now making the part that's supposed to be less concentrated, which is the water, you're making it concentrated. So now that salt water is now infusing into the meat. So now your meat is increased with salt content, and not only you did not get rid of the blood, you actually kept most of that rich blood in the meat. To get the blood out of it, the best way, use fresh water. You can use a little lime, a little vinegar. Yes, it's on the acidic side. It'll make the particles move a whole lot faster, but it's going to draw the meat, it's going to draw the blood from within the meat out into the water, which is less concentrated. So while we're eating, we're doing the things that the Most High God wants us to do. The Creator is so magnificent that He's given us a dietary law, and He considered your very self. He wants you to live. He wants you to be healthy. And like I said, the conversation between me and Adon Mr. Yahu, it was about health and us making the right choices and the things that we do that cause us to get ill. And we wonder why, you go to a doctor and they say, hey, you're black, so you're predisposed with hypertension. No, we're not automatically predisposed to get hypertension and diabetes. Half the time is our diets, the things that we do to prepare our food. What do you use with the base of your food? You always hit it with some oil. How much times of the day, out of the week, you're going to say, I'm going to try something in the oven? How about one day of the week, I'm just going to skip all meats together, and I'm going to do some salad? See, God is teaching us about balance. Some would say a balanced diet is the way to go. A little bit of carbs, a little bit of meat, a little bit of veg. When you mix these things up, you support all elements of your body, because we're millions of cells, and they all have different functions. Right. So when you abuse one thing, who cares? If you just like water and you abuse water, you can die. So you want is balance. And the Creator is teaching us that we should use this Torah as a guideline for how we should live, so that we can live a righteous and healthy life.
Right.
Let's go.
Only you shall not eat the blood, thou shalt pour it out upon the earth as water. Thou mayest not eat within thy gates the tithe of thy corn, or of thy wine, or of thine oil, or of the firstlings of thy herd, or of thy flock, nor any of thy vows which thou vowest, nor thy freewill offerings, nor the offering of thy hand. But thou shalt eat them before Yahweh thy God in the place which Yahweh thy God shall choose. Thou and thy son and thy daughter and thy manservant and thy maidservant, and the Levite that is within thy gates. And thou shalt rejoice before Yahweh thy God in all that thou puttest thy hand unto. Take heed to thyself that thou forsake not the Levite, as long as thou livest upon thy land.
That's right. We can't forget the Levite. Can't forsake the Levite, because their portion is very important to us, and also important to the Creator. Most importantly, that's another thing about blood. You know, we kind of think of it as this super unclean and it's taboo, but blood is significant in a lot of our ritualistic cultures. So when the priests were consecrated, hey, this is something that was used. It was used with the blood. A person that may become a leper, blood and oil was used to make that person become clean. So it has some significance. But God, all seeing, all knowing, He understands that this is something that you shouldn't eat at the same time. But that's why He says to pour it out on the ground. All right. Let's do. Yeah, you can read through.
Verse 20.
Yeah, just read some.
When Yahweh thy God shall enlarge thy border, as He hath promised thee, and thou shalt say, I will eat flesh, because thy soul desireth to eat flesh. Thou mayest eat flesh after all the desire of thy soul. If the place which Yahweh thy God shall choose to put His name there be too far from thee, then thou shalt kill of thy herd and of thy flock, which Yahweh hath given thee, as I have commanded thee, and thou shalt eat within thy gates after all the desire of thy soul. Howbeit, as the gazelle and as the hart is eaten, so thou shalt eat thereof. The unclean and the clean may eat thereof alike. Only be steadfast in not eating the blood, for the blood is the life, and thou shalt not eat the life with the flesh. Thou shalt not eat it, thou shalt pour it out upon the earth as water. Thou shalt not eat it, that it may go well with thee and with thy children after thee, when thou shalt do that which is right in the eyes of Yahweh. Only thy holy things which thou hast, and thy vows thou shalt take, and go into the place which Yahweh shall choose. And thou shalt offer thy burnt offerings, the flesh and the blood, upon the altar of Yahweh thy God. And the blood of thy sacrifices shall be poured out against the altar of Yahweh thy God, and thou shalt eat the flesh. Observe and hear all these words which I command thee, that it may go well with thee, and with thy children after thee forever, when thou doest that which is good and right in the eyes of Yahweh thy God. When Yahweh thy God shall cut off all the nations from before thee, whither thou goest in to dispossess them, and thou dispossessest them and dwellest in their land, take heed to thyself, that thou be not ensnared to follow them, after that they are destroyed from before thee, and that thou inquire not after their gods, saying, how use these nations to serve their gods? Even so will I do likewise. Thou shalt not do so unto Yahweh thy God. For every abomination to Yahweh which he hateth, they have done unto their gods. For even their sons and their daughters do they burn in the fire to their gods.
This is a practice that the Canaanites has done. This is particularly talking about the practices of their god Molech. And this was a god that would promise you riches. It will promise you fertility, more children. I don't get that logic. I'm going to give you my kid, but I guess it's like, you give something, you're going to get more in return. Maybe that's the principle. You're going to get an easier life, a smooth life, once you follow this God. And God is saying, don't inquire about them. Don't inquire about their ways. In our history, we serve this one. Our kings, through David's lineage, we follow this guy. Did any of us sacrifice our kids to him? Our kings. King Ahaz is one of them. Manasseh, another one. And again, their hope was to gain something that they seen other people have. They wanted to increase in their harvest. They want their sacrifice to manifest as power. And they felt that this would be the source. Moses, let me get the torah. So, yeah. In this day and age, we have to consider the messages that the Most High God is putting before us. You know, there's always somebody out there that's going to push an agenda to take you further away from the Creator. Yeah. But you have to instill it within within yourself, the Torah of the Most High Yah. So a lot of things, it may not be clear-cut, it may not be straightforward, but you're supposed to ask the Most High God to open your mind, open your heart with wisdom that you could take in His Word. And now, again, lean on to your own understanding because, again, He wants us to see things the way He wants us to live, right? So we got up there, Molech. That's what we did. We gave our children to Him in hope for an easy life. And on the right side it says abortion is a human right. It's a huge argument. Some states say yay, some states say nay. But as far as for the Israelite community, I can't speak for everybody else. But I'm putting out this information so that you can make better decisions and better choices in your life going forward, especially our young daughters. I got 2 daughters. Most High will another daughter on the way. So these are lessons that we got to teach, that we have to teach them to value themselves.
That's right.
Value their bodies. And have meaningful relationships and be better prepared in life so that you don't have to put yourself in that situation.
Amen.
So our excuses today is, well, I'm not ready for a child right now. I got to go to college. I got 5 acceptance letters from 5 Ivy League schools. Now is not the time to get pregnant. These are the conflicts that plague our minds. And we push back on the plans that God had for you. Again, you're putting yourself before the Creator. We can't afford this child. We just closed on a home. Do you see how much this mortgage is? Right. Children are expensive. Look at my body. I look so good. It ain't gonna be the same. It probably won't. But understand the purpose that God had for you. You would understand that certain things is a little bit more important than your image. So those that are pro-abortion, they'll say, it's my body, my choice. Absolutely. It is your choice because God gives us choices. And everybody sitting in the seats, people listening online, let's make the choices that would allow us to receive a blessing. Let me tell a quick story. That's right. Every time Aisha got pregnant, it's at a bad time. It will never be a good time. I came up with that conclusion. It will never be a good time to get married, and it's never going to be a good time to have kids. But I'm saying it, but it's true. The time is never right for you. Understand that the time is right for God. And being that the time is right for God, it's right for you. So with my first child, I was able to finish my bachelor's. I finished my master's with 2 beautiful children. My wife also, she did her master's while she's waddling the class. I said, go ahead. That's what we do. Because we put our faith in the Creator. You got to put your faith in God. The moment you take the credit away from God, you already failed. You failed before making an attempt. By uttering those words, you're lost. I know time is not on my side, but I want to read just quickly, actually I would read it. It's in the book of Jeremiah, the first chapter, at the 5th verse. It says, before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. I appointed you as prophets to the nation. So God is making a comparison to say, before I even created this world, I had you in mind.
Mm-hmm.
So the steps that we take, you don't know what you're messing with. You don't understand how the Most High God looks at that, because he understood what was in your womb before it got there. So I'm not here to tell you what you can do and what you can't do, but I'm going to put this information out there so that you would just reflect and make better choices in life. One thing I'm going to read again, Psalms 139, the 13th and 14th verse. It says, thou hast knit me together in my mother's womb.
That's right.
And I would give thanks unto you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made.
Amen.
Wonderful are thy works, and that my soul knows it well. Mausia, I keep forgetting. So, no matter what stage, no matter what age, no matter what week, God has his hand in the midst.
Talk about it.
A lot of questions are out there that people can't answer.
That's right.
So trust in the Almighty. I think we know enough to trust in the Creator, do we? We fortify ourselves every week coming here, hearing the word of God. I know we have enough to say, well, the Most High God is going to make a way for me and my child.
That's right.
Yeah. Let's read.
Chapter 13. All this word which I command you, that ye shall observe to do, thou shalt not add thereto nor diminish from it. If there arise in the midst of thee a prophet or a dreamer of dreams, and he give thee a sign or a wonder, and the sign of the one or the wonder come to pass, whereof he spoke unto thee, saying, let us go after other gods which thou hast not known, and let us serve them. Thou shalt not hearken unto the words of that prophet, or unto that dreamer of dreams, for Yahweh your God putteth you to proof, to know whether ye do love Yahweh your God with all your heart and with all your soul.
So it's a test to know, to see if you're going to do what he says.
Right. That's right.
How do you prove your love to somebody? I told Maisha, man, if I come home and there's links and Lunchables home after a hard day of work, you can't tell me you love me that same day. Save it for next week. When I walk through the door, this is me. I'm not lying. I like to smell me some curry. You could tell me you love me, whatever the case may be. The love is mutual then. So how do we show we love the Creator? We do the things that he loved. Be that shining light. Be that example, that nation of priests, the prophets that he set for us to be. All right, let's run through.
After Yahweh your God shall ye walk, and him shall ye fear, and his commandments shall ye keep. And unto his voice shall ye hearken, and him shall ye serve, and unto him shall ye cleave. And that prophet or that dreamer of dreams shall be put to death, because he hath spoken perversion against Yahweh your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, and redeemed thee out of the house of bondage, to draw thee aside out of the way which Yahweh thy God commanded thee to walk in. So shalt thou put away the evil from the midst of thee. If thy brother, the son of thy mother, or thy son, or thy daughter, or thy wife of thy bosom, or thy friend that is as thy own soul, entice thee secretly, saying, let us go and serve other gods, which thou hast not known, thou nor thy fathers, of the gods of the peoples that are round about you, nigh unto thee or far from thee, from the one end of the earth even unto the other end of the earth, thou shalt not consent unto him, nor hearken unto him, neither shalt thou not pity him, neither shalt thou spare, neither shalt thou conceal him, but thou shalt surely kill him. Thy hand shall be first upon him to put him to death, and afterwards the hand of all the people. And thou shalt stone him with stones that he die, because he hath sought to draw thee away from Yahweh thy God, who brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage.
So again, taking the glorification from the Most High God is not a light thing.
That's right.
We ain't killing nobody today. But we could do our due diligence by doing what? Separating yourself. Let them do their thing. If they want to take you and serve other gods. And again, it's gonna be enticing. You know, when I was younger, my grandfather was really ill. He was in a wheelchair. Remember, he wasn't a great place. But I watched. He used to watch, service. I think my grandmother used to watch Christian services from a popular preacher on Sundays, and then they'll show the miracles. So me in my youth, I used to be like, Grandma, why don't you let's take Grandpa to wherever this guy is at, and let's get him fixed. And I'm like, you believe it, right? You believe it, right? She's like, yeah, this stuff really happens. So when I'm reading this, I understand that indeed it does happen. Not all the time is a prank. God said he's going to make these things happen that it entices you to go towards them. So yeah, that guy that was once blind using that stick is now running around the church doing laps. The paraplegic is now doing somersaults. It's a thing, but this is what we get for falling short and not keeping the words of the Creator. He said you're going to serve gods that you have not known.
That's right.
It's a mastermind that came up with these things to make us fall into it so deep. It's beyond man. The Creator said it was going to happen, and best believe it did. Let's run.
And all Yisrael shall hear and fear, and shall do no more any such wickedness as this is in the midst of thee. If thou shalt hear tell concerning one of thy cities, which Jehovah thy God giveth thee to dwell there, saying, certain base fellows are gone out from the midst of thee, and have drawn away the inhabitants of their city, saying, let us go and serve other gods which ye have not known. Then shalt thou inquire and make search, and ask diligently, and behold, if it be truth, and the thing certain that such abomination is wrought in the midst of thee, thou shalt surely smite the inhabitants of that city with the edge of the sword, destroying it utterly, and all that is therein, and the cattle thereof with the edge of the sword. And thou shalt gather all the spoil of it in the midst of the broad place thereof, and shalt burn with fire the city, and all the spoil thereof every whit, until Jehovah thy God, and it shall be a heap forever, it shall not be built again. And there shall cleave naught of the devoted thing to thy hand, that Jehovah may turn from the fierceness of his anger, and show thee mercy, and have compassion upon thee, and multiply thee as he hath sworn unto thy fathers. When thou shalt hearken unto the voice of Jehovah thy God, to keep all his commandments which I command thee this day, to do that which is right in the eyes of Jehovah thy God. Chapter 14. Ye are the children of Jehovah your God. Ye shall not cut yourselves, nor make any boldness between your eyes for the day.
So this is a command. This is why we're stopping. We're going to run through, but certain things we're going to try to highlight real quick. So the slide here is talking about tattoos. It's talking about printing things on yourself. Because of time, this is another thing I wanted to mention, but just briefly. So the tattoo, because you're introducing dyes and needles to your skin, and especially if it's not done in the right way, there's really no right way that you can get hepatitis. You got HIV, one of them. I've been to a college party when everybody was getting like matching tattoos, and they were using the same needles. I'm like, yeah, this looks like a setup for disaster. And indeed, a couple of them did get sick. So you're going to see these things. And in previous chapters, it was talking about in the portion, Tazria Metzora, talks about certain things that can befall you and what would cause you to separate yourselves. And again, you inflicting a cut, a mark, a permanent mark on your skin, it can cause a variety of skin abnormalities. So I have one here that says psoriasis, lichen planus, and it's funny because I mentioned three of them. Actually, lupus, erythematosus. That's another one that can be caused when you try to inflict certain things on your skin. So another nation, the Canaanites, they were popular for doing these things. Again, these are practices that we've seen outside and we want to do for ourselves. A lot of people may not agree, but certain things like just marking your skin in general, whether it be with a pen, whether it be with face paintings, even for kids, it looks pretty, but they don't tell you about the amount of lead that's in these things. They don't tell you how it can affect you because God is perfect, right? So he understands the things that you need and, again, the things that you don't need. So by you marking your skin is an organ. It's the largest organ. Yes, it can absorb anything. I think I heard Dr. D.C.B say one time, if you can't eat it or ingest it, don't put it on your skin, and that's fact. Because your skin can absorb it and, of course, get where? Into your bloodstream.
Teach us.
Let's read.
For thou art a holy people unto Yahweh thy God, and Yahweh hath chosen thee to be his own treasure out of all the peoples that are upon the face of the earth.
Right.
Verse 3, thou shalt not eat any abominable thing. These are the beasts which ye may eat, the ox, the sheep, and the goat, the hart, and the gazelle, and the roebuck, and the wild goat, and the pygar, and the antelope, and the mountain sheep, and every beast that parteth the hoof, and hath the hoof wholly cloven in two, and cheweth the cud among the beasts, that ye may eat.
So again, these laws, these rules, stipulations for eating, choosing clean and separating the unclean, Chief Uzzah went into those. I'm just going to touch on one or two things. Next slide, please. So this one is, again, God knows the things that we're supposed to put in our bodies, right? So the crustaceans, right? This is a trending thing. If it's really a trending thing, if you meet a female outside and if she's not in this way, to impress her, you got to go eat some clams. You know, you got to go break some shells. If you're not doing that, you're not popping. Listen, she don't want steak. She wants lobsters, crabs, and clams. So, and it's crazy. These are bottom feeders. If she really knew what she was eating, she'll probably think twice, and she might want to eat a piece of steak. Right. So these are the things that can happen, especially, I see this all the time. People come back, they call it traveler's diarrhea, because it screws up your GI system, like the nausea, the vomiting, the endless diarrhea. But then you got the amnesia, poison, neurotoxic poisoning, the diuretic poisoning, which pretty much I described, and then the paralytic, and they all just have different effects. And it's because there's a buildup of toxins and chemicals in the body. Yes, it's cited back in 2003, but it took them a couple years to figure that out, because this predates this by a couple years, correct? God is letting us know that certain things we're just not supposed to be mixing ourselves with. Next slide. I was here. Then I'm gonna have to skip. I wish this could have been a little bit more clearer, but even up until this day, I'm learning that certain things that I'm using or certain things that have used in the past have been made with some part of this pig, the skin, the inward parts, the blood. I mean, in medication, like, why though? I don't understand that. Well, I do understand. See, the pig is pretty close to the human body. Hear me out. It's considering DNA, and on a cellular level, it is very close to the pig. That's why they can take a valve from a pig, a heart valve from a pig, and put it into a human. And that way you probably wouldn't have to take that much anticoagulations for the rest of your life. But you could do mechanical valve. There's always different alternatives. But people that don't know God, this is what they're going to give to you. You know, when I had waves, the brush, whoever thought that the hair brush was made out of pork? I learned this 2 weeks ago, 2 months ago, actually. You know, the ice creams, the foods. I mean, it's endless. You know, so even the shoes that you wear, like, who would ever think that you get a pair of New Balances that is laced with pork? Yep. No idea. So again, just think about that. Think about the stuff that you want to do. Think about the things that you consume, the things that you put on your body, because the Creator, at the end of the day, this is who we're here to please. This is who we're here to show Him that we understand. We're striving to get closer to Him. So by learning what's out there, and again, finding alternatives like crazy. Insulin, like, why insulin? You know, when people have diabetes, especially our people, insulin is made with pork. It's crazy. All right, let's read. Because time is really running short, I'm just going to read let's just start at 16 and let's touch the feast days.
Okay.
And
Chapter 16, verse 1. Observe the month of Aviv and keep the Passover unto Yahuwah thy God. For in the month of Aviv, Yahuwah thy God brought thee forth out of Egypt by night. And thou shalt sacrifice the Passover offering unto Yahuwah thy God, of the flock and the herd, in the place which Yahuwah shall choose to cause his name to dwell there. Thou shalt eat no leavened bread with it. 7 days thou shalt eat unleavened bread therewith, even the bread of affliction. For in haste.
So there's certain things we can do. We can't eat unleavened bread. We can observe the month of Abib. But the sacrifices, we have to leave those alone for right now. Because again, we're not in the place where the Most High God has chose. So these holy days, all of these holy days, should be given a special effort. Maisha said, listen, when I was a Christian, you couldn't tell me nothing. I knew what outfit I was wearing like 4 weeks before. We done changed curtains. We changed tablecloth. We painted the house. We got the lawn done. Anything that was broken in the house, we fixed it because guess what? It's a new year and I need to feel good. And she brought that in to my home during these holy days, and I'm telling you, it gives a greater feeling, a greater meaning. The kids are more appreciative of these times. They talk about our holy seasons more than their holy seasons, even though they're in the public school system. So I'm grateful and thankful for the Most High for that. We all can learn how to treat God's holy seasons. Like, do you really want this? Do you want to go back home? This is the things that we have to do. You have to show God that you're really about this. Am I making this up?
That's right.
You have to give God your all.
That's right.
So make the preparations at home and bring it here. Bring those high spirits here for these holy seasons. I can't run through all of it. I really passed due my time. I just thank the Creator of God, the Creator of heaven and earth, Most High God, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I thank Him for life, for health, for strength, just the ability to come up here and expound on His word. I thank Him for every bit of blessing, every gift that He continues to give to me and to us here. Bid you all Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.